How's it going, everybody? My name is Dylan Fox, and today I'll be presenting a most different systems design to analyze the differences in political violence levels between two democracies, Sweden and Mexico. My thesis revolves around how socioeconomic inequality contributes to this disparity, and in so it highlights Sweden's stability and Mexico's conflict. So let's talk about how political violence is a global issue. Political violence is a persistent global challenge. It encompasses acts like terrorism, civil wars, and assassinations. It also undermines democracy, destabilizes societies, and hinders economic growth. While some nations experience relative peace, others face high levels of violence due to factors such as weak governance, inequality, and organized crime. Comparing peaceful democracies like Sweden to violence stricken ones like Mexico helps us uncover the structural conditions that contribute to these difference in violence levels. This then leads to my research question for the project, which is, despite both being democracies, why do these countries have differentiating levels of political violence? So now let's start off with the basics. What is political violence? Well, our textbook defines it as violence outside of state control that is politically motivated. This encompasses actions such as revolutions, civil wars, riots, and strikes, all aimed at achieving political objectives. There are a multitude of reasons why Mexico's levels are so high compared to Sweden's. For starters, the Mexican cartel striking fear and overthrowing government is a very prominent and obvious reason why their political violence levels are so high. From the source, the good, the bad, and the ugly, the socioeconomic impact of drug cartels and their violence, it claims that violence is aimed at building the organization's reputation and inhibiting deviations from agreements and political rivals. For this purpose, Mexican cartels have hired militias. Typically, these militias have been people who deserted the army or police. So, what could be the main factor causing this political violence? One big reason, like what we talked about in class with the difference between the two countries, is the difference in income for people of Mexico. From World Population Review, Gini coefficient by country 2024, they state that Sweden has a Gini index of 29.8, reflecting a more equitable income distribution, while Mexico's Gini index is 45.4, signifying higher income inequality. These figures illustrate the significant contrast in income inequality between the two countries. You can also see that in the visualization in the graph. So what's the correlation? Well, the link to the political violence that the income inequality has is that it fosters resentment, social fragmentation, and unrest in Mexico. Poverty and lack of opportunity creates conditions for organized crime to thrive. The impact it has on stability is how in Sweden in particular, is that Sweden's equitable income distribution reduces economic disparities and social tensions. Some key takeaways are how socioeconomic inequality is a critical driver of political violence, as it amplifies vulnerabilities to unrest and criminal activity in unequal societies like Mexico. As we can see, the displacement of income plays a big factor in political violence levels. If civil servants were paid more in Mexico, perhaps they would be less likely to succumb to bribery and do better at protecting the people. And here are my sources.